Welcome to my study based on data from the TALIS survey on ITC professional development. ICT is information and communication technology. This would be inclusive of all devices that we use for both verbal and nonverbal communications, for written communications, etc. Our old methods of ICT in the classroom, which is where I'm specifically focusing my research, would be letters to the parents, weekly newsletters, weekly or quarterly progress reports, phone calls home, and if you needed to stay late at work, um, you would be kind of tied to your desk and stuck physically on campus. Our new methods would include apps, digital messaging, Remind and Blooms are a couple of popular ones these days. Uh, Teachers are blogging about their classroom daily or weekly. Daily and weekly updated online grades, which is actually fairly beneficial because parents, I've heard some parents at my school even check grades up to 3 times a day for missing work or updated grades. Might be a little overkill, but the idea is that parents and students are able to keep track of their grades um, in a more rapid manner. Phone calls, texts, emails. The general turnaround time was about 24 hours, but I think that's lessened now that we have such mobile devices these days, which leads to the idea that because we're so mobile, it's almost become you're on call like 24 hours. So my question is, as teachers participate in professional development, generally yearly, maybe semi-annually, um, how effective are current ICT professional development programs? And this will be based on the teacher perceptions of their need for more ICT professional development. This comes from 2 of the TALIS survey questions, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. The theoretical framework is engagement theory based on the work by Kearsley and Schneiderman. This theory states that learning environments, both on and offline, it doesn't have to be technology based, but that's where their focus was, but that the most meaningful environments are collaborative environments. Students are working together, that there's that it's project based, meaning there's problem solving that needs to happen, and that the project has an authentic focus based outside of the classroom. This is important to note because in the professional development, I assume that to be used outside of the classroom could mean that a teacher who's working in the professional development environment could then take this to their actual classroom to use with their own students. So that's how I see this. Some of the literature discusses teachers' needs to be flexible and to change, and currently changes are happening so fast, especially with communication, especially with technology, and we need to be staying current and willing to push ourselves to meet those needs of our students and the families. Um, Technology from local analytics says that apps are kind of cycling through about every 3 months when we're only having professional development annually or maybe semi-annually. This is not effective rate of training in order to keep up with the technology changes. In professional development in general was looked at by IES, the Institute for Educational Sciences, and they found that out of 1,300 studies that they looked at, only 9 met the What Works Clearinghouse evidence standards. Well, this is a problem if we're expecting these annual or semi-annual professional development programs to meet our needs when they haven't even necessarily been deemed worthy of these standards to be efficient for training. Technology has never been an area in which teachers are known to be uh, savvy. This could be because, as the TALIS data specified, the average age of a teacher is 43. Technology seems to be that of the young, but let's not forget that we can teach old dogs new tricks. Some of the reasons teachers have a hard time with ICT implementation, it's sometimes not even their fault. Getting the ratio of computers to students, uh, sometimes just internet service, integrating it into their current curriculum is a problem. Lack of technological assistance. They don't, and they've even specified, based on the study, that not having enough quality trainings is a problem. And some teachers just have too many other things to focus on, and that's not really a focus. Some effective models of professional development have been a blended approach, which is similar to the program that we're participating in uh, Texas Tech. It's a blended approach where most of our work is done online, but we do have face-to-face meetings. Uh, and then another professional development that has been successful was a metacognitive approach that didn't expect all members to be at the same place at the same time, but that they recognize where their lackings were, and then they encourage each other to, to help each other succeed on whatever it is that they needed to work on, and that helped teachers to increase their self-efficacy in the area of ICT, which is definitely a positive thing. So the questions that I looked at were based on the TALIS study. And the first question asks, did professional development activities cover the topic of ICT? And if so, what was the positive impact that these had on your teaching? Obviously, this question was asked of people who had participated in a professional development in the area of ICT in the last 12 months, and asked on a Likert scale of 1 to 4 what the positive impact was. The second question asked, for the area of ICT, skills for teaching, please indicate the degree to which you need professional development. This was also rated on a Likert scale, based on from 1 to 4, ranging from no need of professional development at present or high level of need. Because these were two Likert scale questions, the most appropriate method was a Pearson correlation. And what I found was that the significance was set at a 0.05, 95% confidence level, and the output was a 0.000, which shows that there is significance in the data, in the correlation. This was my initial scatter plot, which was very confusing, but I realized this was not helpful because there were more than 14,000 data points, and only so many access points that it just was not an effective method. So when I changed the data into a linear model, it was much easier to see that as the need for ICT training goes down, as that impact of prior training is increased, showing that it is somewhat effective, but honestly not quite as effective as I had anticipated. The mean for the level of impact was a 3.11 out of 4, which is pretty high. And the mean for level of need for ICT is 2.62, which is probably, and it's in the middle, about what you might expect. The Pearson correlation shows that there is significance, though slight, between these two markers, which indicates that there's only a slight decrease of perceived need based on positive impact. I think that some of the reasons for these findings are that, one could be teachers are responsible for so many different new technologies that the prior training was on one area, but there was still another area that they were being held responsible for that they felt like they needed more professional development in. Or it could be the fact, we talked about with some of those studies that um, they were they had received training, but now there's an updated or some new app or technology that they would like to use that's more efficient or effective, and so that would explain the need for more ICT professional development. There's so many limitations in that, we don't know exactly the topics that were covered. We don't know the differences in thoughts as they're rated from a 4 to 1. The programs aren't standardized, and so they're produced at different national, state, or local levels. Who is attending these? Are they the more technologically advanced, or novices? Are they Have they been working in this and they're just updating their skills, or is this a completely new area of professional development for them? Future research needs to look into the standardization of professional development, looking at individualized professional development, and ICT standards for educators. The United States isn't included in the TALIS data, and so it might be important to look at just the United States ICT professional development on its own. So just in conclusion, we need to make sure that teachers are staying abreast of new technologies, that we increase the quality and availability of equality in ICT professional development. Thank you.